Good morning, everyone. Something truly remarkable happens in this week's Torah portion. Abraham, the first Jew, is told by God that he was going to destroy the wicked cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. And Abraham argues with God and negotiates with God to spare the wicked cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. And he says, God, if there are 50 righteous, if there are 45, 40, 30, until he said, if there were 10 righteous people, would you spare the city? And when he can't find 10 righteous people, Abraham relents. And the question is, if Abraham's argument to God was that, God, if you're a God of justice, how could you kill the righteous along with the wicked? Why didn't Abraham just pray for God to save the righteous? Surely God could have come up with a plan to spare the righteous people, to rescue them before the cities were destroyed. Furthermore, where does Abraham have the audacity to argue and negotiate with God? And the answer is that what Abraham was really saying to God was not just to save the righteous, but something far deeper. What Abraham was saying to God is, as long as there are 10 righteous people, 10 leaders in the community, they could redeem, they could transform, they could inspire the entire city to change its ways. You see, Abraham had faith in God, but he also had faith in mankind, because every human being has God's soul, an image of God inside of them. And therefore, part of faith in God is faith in people. And therefore, Abraham was not ready to give up on the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. He said, as long as there are righteous people in the city, they could transform and elevate the city from its moral corruption. And that's the eternal lesson of Abraham. Never give up on other people. Always see their inner good and their inner potential, and try to draw it out by being righteous and setting an example and inspiring others to reach their higher and better self. It's a story about the Rabbi. His name was Rabbi Halberstam. After World War II, he was a Holocaust survivor. He came to America, to New York, and he settled in Manhattan, and he started a shul in Manhattan. And one Shabbos, he couldn't make a minyan. He was short one person. So he sent his son Naphtali out to see if he could find the 10th man for the minyan. He came back a while later and he said, I couldn't find anyone except there was this one Jew in the neighborhood who was a Holocaust survivor. He said he was sitting on the park bench. She said, why didn't you invite him in? He said, because he was smoking on Shabbos. He's clearly not observant, so I didn't invite him in. Rabbi Shlomo Halberstam said to his son, no, it's not true. He was not smoking. He said, what do you mean, Father? I saw him. He was smoking. He said, no, you see, it wasn't him that was smoking. It was the Nazis that murdered his family that was smoking. The Nazi who tortured him and beat him, he was the one who was smoking. He lost his faith because of what he went through. Go invite him in. He invited him in, and sure enough, he came to shul, and then the following week he came to shul, and slowly but surely he regained his faith in God and his connection to his Jewish past. Many years later, when Rabbi Halberstam, the Rabbi, had moved to Borough Park, he was in his office, and a man came into his office, a religious-looking man, with his son. And he said to him, Rabbi, do you remember me? He said, no. He said, I'm the Jew who you invited in from the park bench who was smoking on Shabbos. Now our family is reconnected to our Jewish roots. My son learned in a Jewish school and he's getting married, and I would like you to officiate at his wedding. That is the message of Abraham, that we never give up on our fellow man. We always know that every human being has a soul, and therefore we could only tap into that. We could elevate them and raise them to their better, higher self. Have a wonderful day.